Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 10th Annual Crystal Apple Awards. My name is Blaine Evanson. I am the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints here in Laguna Niguel, and it is an honor to welcome you all here this evening. There are many people I would like to thank who put in countless hours putting this event together tonight, but I will single out just one, and that is Courtney Harrison, who is our State Communications Director. She and her team have just done a marvelous job preparing this evening's event. And yes, thank you. And I also want to thank all of the students. The unique thing about the Crystal Apple Awards is that it is entirely student-driven. There's not a single adult who at any point in the process decides who the honorees are going to be or picks even who is nominated. It's entirely student-driven. And so for the hundreds of students who submitted nominations from all 4 high schools, we are grateful for your enthusiasm, how much you love and respect your teachers, and your engagement to make this event possible. I also want to thank all of the civic and community and interfaith leaders who are with us this evening, and just recognize a few of them who are seated with us on the stand, and ask you to please stand when I call your name. Aliso Viejo Mayor Pro Tem Mike Munsing, Aliso Viejo Councilman Ross Chun, Laguna Niguel Mayor Pro Tem Stephanie Otto, Laguna Woods Mayor Cynthia Connors, from the Capistrano Unified School District, Board Member Michael Parham and Board Member Lisa Davis. From the Saddleback Valley Unified School District, Board President Barbara Schulman. Aliso Niguel High School Principal Michael Hatcher. Dana Hills High School Principal Dr. Brad Baker. Laguna Beach High School Principal Dr. Jason Alleman. Laguna Hills High School Principal Bill Hines. And Minister Thomas Chesley of the Second Baptist Church. Please join me in thanking all these wonderful community leaders. Our program tonight will proceed as follows. We will first hear the national anthem sung by Cameron Smart, a student at Aliso Niguel High School. After the national anthem, we will hear an invocation by Minister Thomas Chesley of Second Baptist Church, and then we will turn the time for the remainder of the program over to Chuck Henry, former NBC4 Los Angeles news anchor. Cameron.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
It's a prayer for the educators. Lord, I thank you for the wonderful role educators play in the lives of our children and our society. Grant them peace in their classrooms and a hedge of protection as they conduct their daily task. I pray for unity in the classroom that spreads into the community. Lord, please lay it on the hearts of parents to show an attitude of gratitude to these life guides that have influence in the lives of our young people. My prayer tonight is that God would pour out a double portion of blessings on the educators gathered here tonight in response to their commitment to educate our youth. Appreciation means more when it's expressed openly, and we appreciate you. To all who touch and agree with me, say amen and amen.
Here I am again. Hey, I'm so lucky, so indeed blessed to be here with you again this year to honor these outstanding educators that we have on the stand with us. And of course, during the course of the program, and we'll keep it moving, you're going to hear a lot more from them and the students who actually nominated them for this wonderful award. And if you didn't get a chance to see the apple, you should come up here and take a look at it. It's really, really quite nice. So we want to welcome tonight the schools of Aliso Niguel, Dana Hills, Laguna Beach, Laguna Hills High Schools. And to start things off, the first person we're going to hear from this evening will be Aliso Viejo Council Member Ross Chung.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for inviting me to again take part in this wonderful, incredibly important evening. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of our Mayor, Richard Hurt, who injured himself while training for still another marathon. So Mayor Hurt is sorry he couldn't be here. But I know that he shares the sentiments that I feel about how important it is to support education and educators in earnest, and how much admiration we have for everyone here who supports our young people. I'm grateful to be here. I was actually called back east on an emergency, and I talked to Courtney, who is an incredible organizer and communicator, and I said, I'm going to be on the East Coast, but I will make it back. And she said, Ross, you need to take care of your family. And I said, I'm going to do both, because so many people here are my family as well. So I want to thank everybody who puts on this evening and all the students who are able to nominate and recognize the teachers that have had an impact on their lives. And on behalf of myself and my family and our City Council and Mayor Hurt, we want to say congratulations to all these incredible educators. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. We appreciate that. I have a little story to tell you, a little confession here. Before we gathered here tonight, I was over at my daughter's house, and she reminded me that one of the names on the list of educators that we're honoring tonight is a very special Crystal Apple Award winner, because he happens to be a person who had a tremendous impact on my grandsons, two of them, who are just finishing up their first year in college. In fact, as Kristen reminded me, he's probably had more of an impact on their lives than their mother, at least as far as listening and obeying, much more. So I want to thank him for that as well. But there's more, of course, than just following the instructions to be a great educator. There is so much more than that. It's a personal interest in the students which they teach and, in effect, serve. These leaders before you tonight, obviously they come from different schools in the area here, and they teach a variety of classes, but they all have a couple of very common traits. They anxiously want to share the knowledge they have with their students. They also know how to communicate, and this would be a hard one, wouldn't it? How to effectively do you communicate with a high school student? Well, it can be challenging at a time. They also have remarkable perseverance in the face of tremendous odds. And today, all you have to do is pick up the newspaper or watch on TV, and you can see that those that are educators have such a rough road to hoe. Budget cutbacks, all kinds of things that impact their life. And their students, sometimes their attention is taken far away from the classroom. So they have to have a great deal of perseverance. They're also anxious to share whatever knowledge they have with others. And that is especially true when it comes to compassionate service. How many teachers have we seen that have spent a little extra time with a student who may be a bit slow in picking up a concept or a precept? They spend that extra time and energy with their students, and they do so willingly. They also have the skill of capitalizing on impromptu teaching moments. And in life, there are many impromptu moments, and especially when it comes to teaching. They can use examples that they see in the classroom. They might use an example they see out in the field as well. By now, I hope you know that no matter who you are or where you are in life, there must have been a special teacher in your life. So I'd like you to take just a moment here and think about that one special teacher. Maybe it was two. But think about that special educator that you had in your life, especially during your high school days. Not that far back. Two come to mind. I see a woman who loved teaching so much that after becoming a grandmother, she went on to pursue a higher level of education as a teacher at a tremendous personal sacrifice to her, her family, and especially her husband. I see another woman who also, with great personal sacrifice, turned her home into a school. She quietly lives with her children, maybe not so quiet at times, and family above the school. And although she could have pursued almost any post or any career, from high school to college, she could have been an administrator in any school, she chose instead to bring education to preschool children. Now, we talk about teachers, and we think of people in school and formal educators, but as I look out upon you tonight, I see almost every face in here is a teacher, is an educator. If you're a mother, if you're a father, if you're a brother, if you're a sister, a relative, a close friend, if you have any contact at all with a high school age student or college age student, you're a teacher. You're a teacher. And you have much to give. We honor tonight those on the stand here, but I want you to know that you are also being honored for the kind of people that you are, for the time that you have taken with those that are close to you, and the effect that you have had and are having right now on lives. So I congratulate each and every one of you as an educator, as a teacher. This is also a month when we remember teacher. It's kind of Teacher Appreciation Month. Remember last year it was also the same time, same thing, Teacher Appreciation Month. And some in the audience may be wondering a little bit more about the Crystal Apple Award and what it means. So if you'll just pardon me for a moment, I'd like to read a little about that. The Crystal Apple Award is a special way for high school students, and they're the ones that nominate the teacher, to recognize and thank teachers, coaches, and staff members who have had a positive impact on their life. Now, as a community, we gratefully acknowledge these extraordinary individuals who, as I say, really go above and beyond every day. So we honor teachers tonight from Aliso Niguel, Dana Hills, Laguna Beach, Laguna Hills High School. They'll all be awarded a Crystal Apple Award that you see here. And for the 10th time, the 10th anniversary, we're also giving out a special lifetime award tonight, which we'll do that as well. Is there anyone in the audience who is a past recipient of, I know we're going to do this a little later, but I want to move it up now, a past recipient of one of the Crystal Apple Awards? Anyone here? Okay, you know what I'd like you, do you mind standing so we can all see you? We've got them over here. Let's recognize them. Okay, another past recipient who couldn't be with us tonight is Rachid Briant, who's a French teacher. She was unable to join us tonight, but we also want to recognize her as well. Okay, so let me introduce the honorees on the stand here next to me. I'm going to read their names, and if you wouldn't mind, stand as I read your name. From Aliso Niguel High School, Monica Bascar and Cassidy Walker. You ladies have a fan club out there? Okay, very good. From Laguna Beach High School, Megan Mingus Marshall and Coach John Shanahan. From Dana Hills High School, Nicole Levette and Matthew Rosa. And from Laguna Hills High School, Timothy Marklovitz and Robert Snyder. And our first presenter tonight is going to be Delancey Luna from Laguna Hills High School. Delancey.
My love for film began at an early age. I remember doing deep dives into the making of The Nightmare Before Christmas because I was so fascinated by the hard work that went into making the movie. I was obsessed with the stop-motion animation and the fact that they had made over 400 heads for Jack Skellington. When I was 6, my family and I would camp out at the local movie theater to watch midnight premieres of Twilight and The Hunger Games. In middle school, I would watch movies and analyze them. I even had a journal where I would write about all the cool things I learned about them. So naturally, when I saw that film study was a class I could take in high school, I went nuts. I was beyond excited to finally learn everything about making movies come to life. When signing up for my classes, I wrote film study as my #1 choice, and I couldn't wait to start the school year. Then, as we all know, COVID hit. My entire freshman year was all online, and that was the year I took film study. Mr. Markowitz wasn't a teacher at Laguna Hills yet, but we had a different teacher. He was cool, but all we did in that class was watch movies, nothing else. I didn't get the chance to do some of the projects students do now with Mr. Markowitz, but I wasn't upset because after all, I was still watching movies for a grade. In my sophomore year, I took a different elective because I felt unmotivated to do film, and now that I think about it, my issue was going into that class with high expectations. In my junior year, aka this year, I decided to take film again. I saw what students were doing for our school news network and thought, wait, I want to do that too. So I signed up for the second class, Art TV Video, and to be honest, I had low expectations. I went into it expecting to do nothing. On the first day of school, he explained what we were going to do: film segments, edit, and broadcast our videos to the entire school. When he first got the chance to start working with the camera equipment, it felt like I was reading a book upside down. I was absolutely clueless. The camera buttons looked like something an alien would press to start up a spaceship. It took a lot of patience to teach each and every single one of us how to use the equipment, but he did it. He took his time, making sure we felt comfortable with what we were doing. He never made us feel discouraged. He motivates students to be creative and film segments based on what we want to see. He allows creative freedom, and if an idea seems impossible, he does everything he can to make it happen. The dedication that goes into making H&N happen is unmatched. No one is doing it like him. Mr. Markowitz grew up in Dearborn, Michigan. During his college years, he worked hard as a mentor and quickly found out he was good at connecting with students. He loved being a helpful and positive influence, and he graduated and got his teaching degree. But he did nothing with it and moved to California to pursue a career in the film industry. He worked on the Ellen DeGeneres Show and The Bachelor as an editor. He eventually left because his job just wasn't as fulfilling as it was when it started. It was then that he decided to begin teaching, and he later found out it was a much more rewarding profession than editing. He told our class that one of the other inspirations that led him to become a teacher was President Obama's State of the Union address in 2011. In Obama's address, he said something along the lines of, We need to teach our kids that success is not a function of fame or PR, but of hard work and discipline. That's exactly what Mr. Markowitz does. He pushes students to be the best version of themselves, and he gives them confidence and support through his passion for teaching. My favorite memory of this year was when my classmates and I were playing Roblox. We had just finished editing our segment and had nothing else to do. That's when he overheard us playing, and he told us about the gaming sessions he has with his daughter Logan. He mentioned that they'd play Bloxburg together and he would earn coins to give to her. He also told us his favorite game was Color Block. After he said that, the whole class started playing it, and it was the most fun I had in a while. In the end, I'm glad he ended up as a teacher at Laguna Hills High School because he has truly made a difference in my education. From singing Paramore in front of the whole class to drawing Simpsons characters from memory, which, by the way, he's an amazing artist, to being one of the greatest teachers I have ever had. I'm so honored to be here and to be given the opportunity to put the spotlight on one of the best teachers. Teachers are some of the most important people in this world, and it takes a lot of hard work and dedication to be able to make a difference in society. Mr. Markowitz deserved this recognition not only for being an amazing teacher, but for going above and beyond to ensure the success of his students. So I'd like to present this award to Mr. Markowitz.
Thank you, guys. This is going to be a little redundant here. Let me just put this down. Hold on. Delancey, thank you so much. And believe me, guys, we do more in my class than just play Roblox. But anyway, thank you. First, I would like to thank Miss Delancey Luna for this wonderful nomination. This is, yes, please. This is my second year teaching at Laguna Hills, and I've only known Delancey, as she said, since the start of this current year. Delancey is a student in my intermediate film class, but like she said, I didn't have her when she took the class her freshman year because I wasn't here. She was with another teacher, and it was all online. I asked Delancey why she returned to the film pathway after taking a year off, and she said that she saw that what we were doing on the morning announcements and wanted to be part of it. And that's always been my goal, establishing programs that make students want to be involved. I hope that my classroom provides students like Delancey a place to learn, to feel safe, to be free from needless stress, and to have the creative freedom to bring their ideas to life. From day one, Delancey has been an excellent addition to the class, producing exceptional segments for our Hawks News Network, and I'm happy to have her for one more year. Her creativity and leadership will continue to shine throughout the upcoming school year, and I can't wait to see the wonderful segments that you will produce as you continue documenting the Hawk experience, showcasing everything that Laguna Hills High School has to offer. And as a film and broadcasting instructor, feel free, sir, to stop by our studio anytime, sir. I'd also like to thank Mr. Bill Hines here for hiring me back in 2021 and providing me with the resources that I need to effectively run my classes and produce our wonderful morning announcements. I'd like to thank Mr. Michael Marzilli for remembering me and for everything that he did to bring me to Laguna Hills. I might get a little emotional here, sorry. I'd like to thank Miss Annette Chambers, Becky Velasquez, Robert Fraley, and everyone at Cantwell Sacred Heart of Mary High School for all of the guidance and the leadership that they provided me for the first 9 years of my career in teaching. And to David Chambers, who was my first principal at CSHM, he saw something in me back in 2012, and even though my only experience was 15 weeks of student teaching 3.5 years earlier, and even though he was looking for an English teacher and my out-of-state credential was in social science, he took a chance on me and gave me my first teaching job, essentially giving me a new life, and I hope I've never let him down. Finally, a very sincere thank you to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for honoring us teachers here today. This is such a wonderful tradition, and I am so happy and so proud to be recognized by your wonderful congregation. And on that note, I just wanted to mention, because I teach film and broadcasting, I love stories, and particularly I love stories that can be seen on screens, hence film and television. And when I was a young boy growing up in the late 80s and early 90s, there were these public service announcements that used to run on daytime television that really resonated with me. They were typically a minute long, They typically included an adult narrator reflecting on some transformative event from their childhood, and they told very succinct, very meaningful stories. Stories about kindness, stories about love and honesty, about patience, and they all ended with the same sign-off. Do you guys remember? What was it? No. A message from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. These public service announcements were my first introduction to the Mormon faith, and even though I was raised in the Catholic Church, attended a Catholic elementary school, and spent 9 years teaching at a Catholic high school, those PSAs still stick with me because their message is so important and so universal. So thank you for everything that you do, for helping spread your beautiful message, and for recognizing the inspirational work that we as educators do each and every day. Thank you, guys.
The teacher I will be presenting today is Robert Snyder. Mr. Snyder teaches biology as well as physics at Laguna Hills High School. I'm currently enrolled in his biology class and hope to be in his physics class. Mr. Snyder grew up in Huntington Beach, California, and he always kind of had it as him to become a science teacher. A specific story I remember him telling was that one day he was going to get his tonsils removed, and the doctor told him he was going to have them removed. And even as an 8-year-old, he knew that they were in there for a reason, so he refused to let them get removed, and they're still in his mouth as far as I know today. This just shows he always was ready for the biology and teacher role. Some interesting facts about him. As a kid, he shared a love for basketball. He's mentioned that he grew to be about like 6 feet in 8th grade and dominated. He played at high school and at the college level. His claim to fame in basketball is his free throws, which he hardly ever missed. Unfortunately, Mr. Snyder chose to get his teaching credentials instead of going to the NBA. But he got his teaching credentials at UCI and had to end the NBA dream there. However, he could still beat anyone in a one-on-one today. Mr. Snyder is also a very good and avid bike rider. He rides all around the city, and me and my friend have even seen him when we've been riding our e-bikes, and he managed to outspeed us, so he's very good at what he does. At the beginning, I wasn't the biggest fan of biology, but now I can say it is one of my favorite classes that I look forward to today. But what makes him such a great teacher? First, he is great at engaging the class. At the beginning of the day, he always has green tickets, which are questions on current events, things like famous people's birthdays or they died, astronomy, or just things that are going on in the world. To get the green ticket, you have to do what he calls critically thinking and bracketing, and this helps us use logic to figure out problems that we wouldn't be able to figure out without it. This gets my class excited and ready to learn biology. He will also greet us at the door and ask questions about biology, or if we ask him, the Lakers, which are his favorite NBA team. To make class more engaging, he will also take us around campus and we'll look at all the plants and wildlife and get more of a in-person and close-up view that many teachers don't do. And one thing that stands out to me is he wants students to succeed and is constantly talking about how he wants the principal to come up to him and tell him that there are too many A's in his class, so he has to make it harder. But he's always willing to help on assignments and is willing to do whatever it takes to make the student become smarter. When we get distracted, he can always reel us back in with his stories, such as the tonsils one. Also, if you're not doing so well at the biology, a way you can bring your grade up is by the extra credit, or what he calls the opportunity of the week, which this week was writing a paragraph about the history of surfing. It's a great way to get extra credit and also learn some trivia or sometimes useful things as well. Finally, he makes it worth it to do every assignment, because when we have work time, if you have all your assignments in, you can go to the lab area and sit with your friends. This motivates me and my friends to get our work in, because if we don't, we can't move around and have a couple of minutes to work with our friends. All this shows why Mr. Snyder is award worthy. He's a great teacher who plenty of kids look up to, and that is why I'm happy to present him the Crystal Apple Award.
Thank you, Diego. Most all of that was true. Most of it. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight. Diego is one of the students that kind of keeps me going. I've been teaching a long time, and students like this is why I get up in the morning and love coming to work. So I appreciate all those kind words. Anyway, I would like to acknowledge a few of the teachers that I have had and show how I've used that teaching in my career. First of all, my parents. My parents are gone, but they taught me loyalty, respect, and the value of hard work. And just for example, what I do now, I've got a picture. It's been removed. But it's Martin Luther King, and his words of judging people by the content of their character rather than their skin still resonate in how I teach. I've also want to acknowledge that the hard work aspect comes into my class. I'm always pushing them. More important than brilliance is the ability to work hard. And I reward the kids for working hard. And I was hoping Mr. Hines didn't hear that little comment about coming in and telling me to make the class harder. Anyway, next teacher up is my fourth grade teacher. My teacher is, she's even passed on, like my parents. She was Juanita Houston. She was the wife of the great-grandson of Sam Houston, the Texan. And for whatever reason, she got a hold of little me and got me to read. I mean, I cleaned up that year for the reading contest. I read something like 5 times more than the nearest person. And that changed my life. It really did. It made me a scholar. It made me capable of thinking. And as I tell my classes right now, reading is so much better than this stuff. It will help memory. It will help your ability to think and just make you knowledgeable on stuff. I'd like to acknowledge, he's still around, and I've been meaning to call, but it's Van Medina. He was my high school math teacher. And the way that he meticulously, systematically taught math inspired me to do much of the same. I mean, I kind of always have something good for the kids to learn every day. And that's how I try to teach every day, bring them something great. Also, in college, I'd like to give a shout out for Frank Potter. I'm a science teacher, and Frank Potter showed us how to do demonstrations. There was an enthusiasm in the way he did things that just inspired me to put on demonstrations, and I think that's one of the things that I do the most. Lots of demonstrations, lots of stories, and get the kids interested. And I guess I have to mention one more, and that is life. Life is a great teacher. They say that if you learn from your mistakes and errors, you're smart. If you learn from somebody else's mistakes and errors, you're wise. And I'm hoping to pass on some wisdom to my young people. This has been a rough year for me. I had a major infection in my foot, and I had a heart problem. And through that, I mean, I missed more days this year than any other year in my career, going back to the Carter administration. I missed a lot of things here. And you know, I have one more idea that came through. When I looked at the work that was done, I had a good sub, but I looked at the work, it wasn't very good. It was terrible. And so it was kind of like I couldn't wait to get back and continue with the teaching that I'm doing. So thanks once again, everybody. Thanks for coming out.
Hi everyone, my name is Brooke Latin and I go to Laguna Beach High School, and I nominated my amazing teacher, Miss Megan Minguez Marshall, or Triple M as some of her students like to call her. She teaches both English and theater at LBHS, and just to give you all some background on Miss Marshall, she grew up here in Orange County and spent most of her childhood in Irvine, but has also lived in Long Beach and Huntington. She likes spending time with her friends and family, cooking, traveling, going to the beach. But when she's not playing, she's a very studious lady. She's got her bachelor's degree in drama with a minor in English and honors in drama from UCI, as well as her Master of Arts in Teaching from UCI. And she has a few associate's degrees, one of which is in psychology. Miss Marshall has interned at Santa Ana High School and student taught at Portola, and now we're lucky to have her at LBHS. And when I asked Miss Marshall what got her interested in teaching, she said, "I wanted to have a role in positively impacting future generations and mentoring them during their teen years. Being a teen is hard, and having people who believe in you and lift you up at that age is important." And I think that's exactly what she's doing. I think she's lifting up all her students. She went on to say that some of her most transformative moments as an adolescent happened in her theater classroom because it was a space where she felt comfortable being herself and was supported by all sorts of students and people and had the freedom to be creative without judgment. Miss Marshall is an amazing leader. At school, I did the musical Mamma Mia, and she helped me out a ton with my acting. There were a couple of scenes that were really hard for me to get. I just had a really hard time trying to portray this character, and she gave me a lot of tips and tricks that I was just able to improve my acting and better represent my character. I nominated Miss Marshall because she's incredibly hardworking and deserves this honestly more than anyone else at my school. She has pushed me to become better in many different aspects, whether it's acting or my writing in English. Over the past few years, my school hasn't had a consistent drama teacher, and I'm crossing my fingers that Miss Marshall will stick around because not only is she my favorite teacher, but I also like to think of her as my friend, and this is why I'm so excited to present this award.
Let me pull up my notes here. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Brooke, for that amazing speech and just for being such a light in my classroom and also in my rehearsal spaces. Just wanted to take a moment to thank Brooke and all my other students who nominated me for this. This past year at LBHS has exceeded my expectations in many ways. The relationships I have made with my students this year will stay with me for the rest of my teaching career. I have grown as an educator, artist, and person this year, and I'm very thankful to my fellow staff members at LBHS, friends, and family for supporting me on my journey, especially to my partner, Jose, for the past 5 years being by my side. The best part of my job is my amazing students. I feel like I won the lottery in terms of gaining the most respectful, perceptive, and hardworking young people that I have the pleasure of teaching. It is my goal as a theater and English educator to make safe spaces for my students where they feel free to be their full, authentic selves without fear of judgment. I want my students to express their opinions, stay curious and imaginative, feel supported by myself and their peers, and have fun. It has been such a pleasure to put on 2 full-length productions, a stage reading, and our upcoming showcase this year with my theater students. Brooke was a part of Mamma Mia. We just closed. It was a wonderful time to see them all grow and learn from that experience, and the friendships that they formed I know will last a lifetime. And it just is such a pleasure of mine to be able to witness those moments. And I also just wanted to say that their joy and passion in the theater space is infectious, and it teaches me something new every day I come to work. And I consider anything they tell you that they learned from me as just a bonus. But if they do tell you something that they learned after being in my classes or my productions, I hope that it is about how you can use the power of storytelling and art making to gain empathy for other people in situations that are unlike your own and to gain new perspectives. Thank you again to my fellow staff members, students, and the organizers of the Crystal Apple Awards for this honor.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Reiner Swanson, and I've had the privilege to speak about my coach, John Shanahan. And I'm not going to call your first name. This is the first time. So I lost my voice, and I'm going to try to get through this. Okay. So Coach Shanahan has been coaching me in football for the past 3 years. And after playing a little bit, I recommend football to all young men because it teaches hard work, discipline, and just like all around. Coach is big on this, just how to be the best person you could possibly be. And Coach Shanahan was born in Boston, Massachusetts, and moved to Tustin, which he calls God's country, at the age of 2. And he moved to Balboa Island when he was a freshman, but still kept in touch with his friends and played football 4 years of high school. Coach went to junior college for a couple years, then transferred to Boston College, where he studied political science, and he started coaching at the age of 15. So he's been a busy guy for a long time, and after he played high school ball, he would run over to his junior All-American team. So he's been a busy guy all around, and he's just like me. We always gotta be doing something. We don't like sitting around. So Coach Shanahan, he's a very successful man. He's had business opportunities in Asia and Europe, and the thing that really stands out to me is he dropped all of that and came to coach football for Laguna Beach High School, and he's the perfect coach. I really love him. He's perfect for me. So at the family side, he's an incredible father to his kids and a substantial husband. Sometimes at practice, he'll bring his little boy Jack, who's 15 years old, to hang out. He's always holding him in his arms and nurturing him, just like how he nurtures his family and the team. So when I first joined football, I was a freshman in high school, and I was super nervous because I've always grown up thinking that like football coaches and players are so cool. Like I was really intimidated by football players, and I've always wanted to play tackle football. Those 2 words were always so cool to me growing up. And but my mom didn't really let me. I was just a basketball guy. And actually, the thing that got me to play football was my friend Charlie Tyus, and I was always a basketball guy. I didn't really want to do another sport. And then he told me about the team meals that we have every week. So that's the thing that got me to play football. And it's worked out well. I love football. It's my favorite thing to do. And so I came to practice, and he introduced himself to me with a big smile, and along with all the other coaches, and he treated me with love, of course, like all the other players. And I went on getting to know him well. I think of him as a really good friend. And so this last season, it was like week 5, and I was kind of going through the motions. And it was a Tuesday. And Tuesdays are always full pads, no matter what. And so with like hitting and tackling, it's just more weight. It's just more weight to carry, which sounds, we were doing like Oklahoma drill and all that stuff, which sounds fun. But after a couple weeks, it takes a toll on you, and obviously it's fun, but it's just a grind. And then one day, I was just really struggling with school and like other personal reasons. And I could tell at the beginning of practice he sensed something was off. We were doing D-line drills, and he calls me over to the middle of the field, and he just says like, "Hey, bud, I could tell you're struggling. What's going on?" And I'm an emotional guy, so I just start to weep a little bit, and I didn't tell him much. I just needed to cry a little, and talk to someone I knew, who would embrace me and care deeply. He spoke to me with love and compassion and understanding. And he said, whatever I needed, please call him. And he invited me. He'd take me to dinner. And it was amazing. He's an amazing friend. Coach Shannon has many Christ-like attributes that I've noticed while playing for him. This story meant the most to me. My teammates and I nominated Shannon because no one deserved him more. He came to Laguna about 7 years ago and turned it completely around in a good way. Coach promised the other coaches that if they won CIF last year, he would take them on a trip to Ireland and have a great time and eat at his family steakhouse. And that's exactly what he did. Won CIF, and it was incredible. It was so incredible. That was always my coach's goal. And we finally did it. It was amazing. And it's been 76 years since Laguna Beach has won a CIF championship game. I'm going to make sure. I'm going to make sure I stay in touch with Coach Shannon. I love him. And I'd like to give you this Crystal Apple Award. Thank you.
Dr. Ullum, I'm sorry for being late tonight. World's greatest principal over here. Unbelievably lucky to get to work for him. I was supposed to prepare something, but I was on a football field all afternoon, so I raced off the football field this evening to get over here. I apologize for being late, so I didn't get a chance to prepare anything. But just sitting here listening to some of the teachers and some of the students, just kind of reflecting a little bit on what football means to me. And to kind of put it in context is something that came to light to me and my wife recently. And this could be the same story for water polo or acting, but for me it was football. My wife and I went to a couples retreat in Dallas for 48 hours, and it was just her and I and 2 therapists. And I wasn't very excited about it, but when my wife said, "You're a high school football coach. That's what you do. You coach kids, and that's good. But a life coach, a couples coach, isn't good enough for you." So I kind of bought into it very quickly. To make sure she knows I'm trying to be the best husband I can be, the best father I can be. But it was tough. I tell you, it was a tough couple days. When you work through your history in your life, it's not always pretty. And as we worked through that history, it became very clear how important football was to me. I love my mom and dad. I promise you, they're great people. But I had an inconsistent upbringing. They were working hard. They were entrepreneurs. Sometimes things, family-wise, got left behind. But for me, when I'm working through this therapist for a couple days, my wife gets frustrated. And she was a little, bear with me because this is the first time I've told this story. She got a little frustrated with the therapist because she goes, "You know what frustrates me is if I ask him to do something, it could take him 2 days to do it. He can be 25 minutes late for this or 25 minutes late for that." Never for my kids, by the way. But at times I'm late for things. But when it comes to football, I look at his practice schedule and every single minute is accounted for 2.5 hours. He's always on time. Everything's always taken care of. And the therapist kind of snapped at her, and I was, not a lot of people snap at my wife, so I was a little bit concerned. The therapist gives it a very quick, "Well, what do you expect?" She goes, what do you mean, what do you expect? She goes, "What do you expect from him?" And at this point, I'm a little terrified about what's going to happen next. But the therapist, after about 6, 7 hours, realized this, and it blew me away. She said, football has been the only thing he's been able to count on since he was 9 years old. And my reaction was, there's no way, I'm not that pathetic. I mean, I kept 9 years old. But the more we dug through it, I realized that it was, like you were talking about that one teacher, it was a man, Tim O'Donohue, and I think you guys met Tim O'Donohue, the Semlins met Tim O'Donohue. He was my youth football coach, became a deacon in the Catholic Church. When there was so much inconsistency in my life, him and those coaches, and for the 5 years I played youth football, and my high school coaches, football was the one thing I could count on. And again, this could be water polo, it could be tennis, it could be acting, but for me, football was that one thing. And that is the context in which we try to coach. And we're lucky enough to have one of the best coaching staffs anywhere in America. And football aside, they're great football coaches, but they're incredible human beings. And that's the kind of the context we try to create for our football players, where they know they're loved, they know they're cared about. We're going to push them when we have to jump their butt. We're going to jump their butt, but we're there for them in every aspect of their life. And again, we're never realized it. Been subconscious for a really long time, and still trying to figure this piece out that I realized a couple months ago. But that kind of sport, and I'm sure, and I've seen it. And I grew up with a bunch of Mormon families growing up. That incredible family and accountability in the Mormon Church, which I think as an outsider looking in, you're almost a little jealous of it growing up. So we want to create that type of context for our kids: accountability, love, expectations, boundaries. And we're super lucky to be in an environment to do it with an incredible boss like Dr. Alleman, Dr. Valoria, and our athletic director. So again, athletics or acting in one of these other groups, we don't realize what a humongous role they play in our lives, but it probably saved my life, and it's given me meaning on a daily basis. And I tell people I'm the luckiest guy on the planet that I get to do what I do. I get to coach football, which I love more than anything, in an incredible community, with incredible parental support, and an incredible group of young men. I mean, our kids at Laguna Beach High School are off the charts. They're incredible kids that work really hard, that care about each other, and again, this is the new standard bearer, right? This is our new standard bearer, Reiner Swanson. When our coaches are having that conversation, they're like, "Is he a good kid?" I'm like, not Reiner Swanson good, but he's a really, really good kid, right? And he makes us want to be better coaches. He makes us want to be better people. He makes me want to be a better husband. He makes me want to be a better father all the time, because of the incredible relationship we formed and the kind of conversations we have. So again, I want to thank him. I want to thank Dr. Alleman and everybody at Laguna Beach High School for giving me the opportunity to do what I do. Again, I'm the luckiest guy in the world, but again, tonight, I want to thank Reiner and those guys that nominated for me for this. And it's going to make me want to be even better as we move forward. So thank you, Reiner.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Field, and I'm here to present Miss Lovett. I have nominated Miss Lovett for the Crystal Apple Awards. I believe that Miss Lovett is a perfect candidate for this award because she is incredibly interactive and keeps her students engaged. As a student, I know it can be extremely difficult to stay focused and motivated in class, but Miss Lovett has a unique ability to make learning fun and interesting. She reflects on how a class is doing specifically to see what she can do to help every student succeed. She uses a variety of teaching methods to help keep her students engaged and always takes the time to answer questions and go more in depth on a topic. As I have Miss Lovett first thing in the morning, it's incredibly difficult for me to comprehend any information at such an early hour. But her class, I have no issue because she makes learning interesting. Miss Lovett creates and runs many group projects and activities in her classroom and encourages discussion and critical thinking among her students. For example, she initiated a project about the importance of alliances and governments when creating a functional community. She split the classes into groups, giving each of us an important resource that no one else had, such as iron, animals, and the Book of Knowledge. Each group had to design an island, delegate responsibilities, and decide which type of government they would form. Throughout this experience, we observed that different islands with more powerful natural resources aligned together, and the more intellectual and animal islands did the same. We found that those with more powerful natural resources happened to have dictatorships rulings, and the tension within the islands in themselves were high. This distracted them enough to make impulsive trading with other islands. While these islands were busy fighting within their own communities, a well-planned democratic islands moved ahead and gathered weapons and massive amount of food. Overall, this taught the class that you must work together and make alliances for long-term rather than quick rewards, and how different forms of government can affect the success of a community. But what really sets Ms. Lovett apart from any other teacher is her ability to connect with her students. She truly cares about our success and is willing to go the extra mile to help us achieve our goals. She constantly brings in new ways to learn and teach her students. She has created a warm and welcoming classroom environment where we can all feel comfortable in asking questions and sharing our own thoughts. Overall, I believe that Ms. Lovett is an outstanding educator who deserves to be recognized for her hard work and dedication. I'm pleased to be given the opportunity to speak about the one teacher who really made school feel like a second home. Thank you for your time.
Hi. It's funny, teaching was never my path. I actually wanted to be a comedian. But they now have to laugh at my jokes, so I just thought it was the best route. But thank you very much. I appreciate it. I love everyone, and thank you. Kitten, you're amazing. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sophie Davies, and I'm going to share a little bit about one of my teachers, Mr. Rosa. Mr. Rosa is one of the amazing teachers we have at Dana Hills High School. He teaches a variety of math subjects, including algebra, geometry, and AP statistics. Mr. Rosa was born and raised in Riverside, California, and even when he was a kid, he knew he wanted to become a teacher. He was partially influenced by his parents, who were both teachers. One story he told me was when he was around my age and he was out to eat with his family. An old student came up to his dad and started talking to him about how much his dad had impacted him and how he used the skills he learned in his class in everyday life. Mr. Rosa realized then that he wanted to be a teacher to make an impact on students' lives. So he decided to follow in his parents' footsteps and become a teacher too. He also tutored to earn some money in high school and said teaching others came naturally to him. He studied math with a physics minor at the University of Redlands, where he got his teaching credentials. He was a student teacher in Redlands and then moved to come teach here at Dana Hills High School, where he stayed for the past 17 years. He wanted to teach somewhere near the beach, so it's perfect that he has a clear view of the ocean right outside of his classroom window. Not only is Mr. Rosa an amazing math teacher, he also coaches the boys' water polo and swim coach. Well, he's not the coach anymore, but he loves staying active and even gets in the pool during lunch to keep up with swimming. So this is a funny story. He's actually not my teacher anymore, but he was. I had him for the first semester this past year before I had to switch math teachers. And even though I only had him for a few months, Mr. Rosa is one of my favorite teachers I've ever had. I could tell his class was going to be enjoyable for me when I walked in on the first day of school to see his classroom decked out in Dana Polo pride. I'm a water polo player myself, so it was awesome to see that my teacher and I already had something in common. Something admirable about Mr. Rosa is how approachable and funny he is. On the first day of school, everyone was quiet as a mouse. I don't think a single person in that classroom was excited to be learning geometry at 8 a.m. in the morning when they could be at the beach like they had been for the past 3 months. Despite the fact that you could hear a pin drop in that class, Mr. Rosa began trying to engage everyone in conversation. He asked about people's summer adventures, what sports they'd played, and how excited they were to be learning about geometry for the next year, to which more silence followed. That first period geometry class never started talking, but Mr. Rosa always came in with positive energy and a quietly sarcastic yet enthusiastic attitude. Without fail, Mr. Rosa would always ask everyone about their weekends or what sports games they had that week. Like clockwork, every Tuesday and Thursday from October to January, Mr. Rosa would tell me I had to put the yellow circle in the rectangle at my game that day. Although everyone in my first period class was always silent and most definitely half asleep, Mr. Rosa kept class engaging and focused. His teaching methods are efficient and thorough, and he's always willing to go the extra mile to make sure everyone understands before moving on. He's the kind of teacher that's approachable and always open to questions. His passion and drive for teaching is displayed in his class every day, and it's clear that he truly cares about the success of his students. His willingness to help everyone achieve their goals in his class for the year shows in the way that he takes the time during class or in passing periods to go through the material one-on-one with every student so they can understand what was going on. Without a doubt, Mr. Rosa is a fantastic teacher, and I'm so happy that he received the Crystal Apple Award this year because he really deserves it. And Mr. Rosa couldn't be here today, but Thompson's going to come up and speak on his behalf.
Hi everyone, my name's Thompson and I was asked to speak on behalf of Mr. Rosa. And this is what he said. I was looking forward to being here in person, but unfortunately that was not possible. Thank you to Sophie for those kind words. She was a pleasure to have in class and I appreciate the time she put in to write out that speech in my honor. As a math teacher, I have to understand that not everybody is excited about showing up to my classroom. I mean, what 15-year-old is going to come to school and be excited about learning the Pythagorean theorem? The Dana Hills motto is to connect and inspire every day. I do my best to embrace this idea. I make sure that I talk with my students about something other than math. I enjoy learning what interests them and admire all the activities and adventures that they have. They may not realize it, but these social interactions brighten my day. Teaching them math every single day would get old if I didn't have the smiles and the laughs with all of them. Being able to smile a bit always makes the math more tolerable. Winning the Crystal Apple Award is truly an honor. I enjoy coming to work, and to be recognized by my students is like icing on the cake. Thank you so much for this wonderful award.
Good evening. My name is Sophia Hu, and I'm a senior at Aliso Niguel High School. Tonight, I'm proud to present the Crystal Apple Award to Mrs. Bhaskar. Mrs. Bhaskar was born and raised in India and earned her teaching credential from San Jose State. She comes from a family of teachers and has 2 daughters who graduated from Aliso. She says her methods professor inspired her to teach by helping her channel her passion for the subject and making it accessible to students. I am lucky enough to have been in her class twice, first in freshman year and now this year. I can confidently say she is the funniest, kindest, most hardworking person I've ever met. She teaches multiple different levels of biology, meaning different sets of tests, curriculums, and labs. She arrives early to school, stays late, and uses her lunches and weekends to provide extra help to students. To be honest, I'm not sure when she takes breaks. Despite this, every day she still provides the most engaging class I've ever been in. She has a way of incorporating humor into her lectures, telling us stories to keep us entertained, while also showing us how the concepts we learn in class apply to the real world. She has taught us that what we learn in school today doesn't cease to matter when we leave school. What we learn will be something we carry with us into our future endeavors, regardless of what they may be, and that is the importance of education. Mrs. Bhaskar adapts her teaching style to the individual student. She walks around the room as she teaches, and she'll notice your blank or confused expression from across the room, and make sure you have the opportunity to get the clarification you need. This is especially meaningful for the quiet kids like me who often find it difficult to ask questions in front of the entire class. It's impossible to feel invisible in her classroom because she truly cares about every single person that walks into her room. Mrs. Bhaskar also challenges us every day. When she's lecturing, she frequently asks guiding questions, allowing us to work collaboratively and call on previous knowledge to derive the answer, rather than having the answer simply given to us. In this manner, she creates a classroom setting where students feel comfortable taking educated guesses and making mistakes, because that is all ultimately part of the process of learning. She gives us less time on tests than the College Board will, so that on the actual AP test, we'll have plenty of time, which I actually only found out a couple weeks ago, and I have to admit that's pretty genius. If you had asked me a year ago whether I thought I couldn't make it through the obstacles without giving up, I might have said no. But I did make it through, and in fact, I fell in love with biology along the way. Mrs. Bhaskar is not only preparing us for graduation, but she is preparing us for the future. She has taught me to have confidence in my abilities, and that when faced with a difficult or overwhelming challenge, to trust in the knowledge I have, and to use it to think through the situation calmly, rather than resorting to my personal favorite approach of sitting, staring, and panicking. At the same time, Mrs. Bhaskar understands that we are all human, and she is always willing to help us or work with our situations. Leanne Radiadine says, Mrs. Bhaskar has always been so understanding no matter what, especially when it comes to dealing with a bunch of stressed high school students. She always knows exactly what to say that makes everything that much better. Admittedly, when I arrived in high school, I was very much focused on other pursuits, and up until that point, never gave science much of a chance. After 2 years in her class, this year I applied to college as a neurobiology major. Mrs. Bhaskar speaks with a passion and a love for the subject she teaches that captures your attention and inspires everyone sitting in the room to want to learn more. Through her class, I have discovered my own love of science, and for that I'm truly grateful. They say the people you meet will change your life forever, and that certainly holds true for me. The impact she has had on all her students is immeasurable. She takes the time out of her day to check in on us. She was the first to ask how applications are going and the first to congratulate us. She even offered to connect us with some of her past students who had gone to the colleges we were looking at, knowing how intimidating it would be to walk onto a campus not knowing anyone or what was going on. And knowing me, I probably need all the help I can get, so I truly appreciate that. She has taught us that to be resilient. She believes in us even when we don't believe in ourselves. And she has taught us that it's okay to laugh at our mistakes and smile at our accomplishments. Mrs. Bhaskar, I will miss walking into your classroom next year, but I won't forget everything you've taught me. I think I speak on behalf of all of your students when I say, thank you for being our greatest supporter and our greatest inspiration. We truly would not be the people we are today if we didn't have you as our teacher. Congratulations.
If it was my classroom, I could probably tell a story. I'm in adults. The only thing I can say is thank you for sharing your children with me, so together we can grow our passion for the field of science, particularly in biology. I'd like to thank all my students who actually have supported and recognized me for this award, so thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Zoe Roth, a sophomore at Aliso Niguel High School.
And I'm Annalisa Phelps, also a sophomore at ANHS. Miss Walker has always lived in Southern California and graduated from San Juan Hills High School and University of California, Irvine. She got interested in teaching by being an RA in college, and it definitely was a great decision. We nominated our chemistry teacher, Miss Walker, because she has provided a safe learning environment and never fails to make a fun and exciting class for all students. She understands that students are going through things and provides an environment where anyone can go up to her about their problems, and always tries to give her best advice. She makes sacrifices every day for the benefit of her students no matter what is going on in her personal life, whereas other teachers may choose to disassociate themselves. She makes sure to greet every person entering her classroom with enthusiasm and a smile on her face. She treats everybody equally and makes sure everyone has the same opportunities in her classroom. Miss Walker is patient and compassionate in a way no one can take for granted. Her classroom is always filled with laughter and is a place of acceptance and friendships. Chemistry is one of those subjects that can be a struggle to learn, but in Miss Walker's class, she provides fun and exciting lessons that engages students and encourages them to learn the subjects to the best of their abilities.
Okay. Earlier this year, I was switched out of Miss Walker's 6th period chem class into another teacher's 5th period to better comply with my schedule. I immediately missed Miss Walker and my class and my peers. I went to my counselor to try to switch back into her class, and they said I couldn't. I went through the day holding back tears, trying anything to get back in her class. There was nothing wrong with the other chem teacher or class. I walked Annalisa and another friend to her class and talked to her about the transfer. Miss Walker took it immediately into her own hands to write my counselor an email, knowing well that my counselor had already said no. I was stressed and on edge, thinking I wouldn't get into her class. A few days later, I got a call slip in my English class, and I knew that I was going to my counselor to get my schedule changed back. She told me she saw Miss Walker's email and put me back in her class. I don't think Miss Walker truly understands just how much that email really meant to me and how terrible and devastated I felt after being transferred, knowing that I would lose the best teacher I've ever had. Being in Miss Walker's class has positively impacted our lives, and as a class and us as students look forward to going to and learning in every single day.
Hi. Hi, guys. I know I look like a student. I'm not, I promise. I'm a teacher. Okay. Thank you so much. This is so wonderful. It's really an honor to know that I'm doing okay. Here's hoping that this isn't me peaking the first year teaching. Thank you so much.
Because this is the 10th year of the Crystal Apple Awards, the awards decided to present a Lifetime Achievement Award. And my name is Zach Wallen, and this is my high school friend, Scott Hall. And we are here to present this award to Mrs. Laura Ott. Mrs. Ott grew up in Orange County, California, and she graduated from Sonora High School. She earned her bachelor's degree in English and theater arts from UCSB. And she received her teaching credential from University of California, Irvine. She then earned her master's degree in educational administration from Pepperdine University. In 1984, she was hired at Laguna Hills High School to teach English and drama. In 1993, she moved into administration and served as the Director of Student Activities and as the ASB Leadership Advisor. From 1999 to 2003, she served as the assistant principal over curriculum and guidance. In 2003, Mrs. Ott transitioned to work at Saddleback Valley Unified School District and served as the assistant to the superintendent. In 2008, she became the director of secondary education and had responsibility for all facets of secondary education curriculum, high school athletics, and guidance and counseling. In 2015, she became assistant superintendent over educational services. Mrs. Ott retired from SVUSD in 2019 after 37 years in education.
Arthur Miller once said, "The mission of the theater, after all, is to change, to raise consciousness of people to their human possibilities." And Laura Ott did exactly that. What makes Laura unique is her sheer passion as an educator, not only by teaching her students, but by caring and nurturing each of us as individuals on the journey of life. I know I speak for everyone when I say this. She was so much more than a teacher. She was our second mother. Her ability to meet each student where they were in both their academic and personal journey is what makes her so special. Laura provided a safe space for all of us with open ears and a heart to hear. The older we grew, it became obvious that these gifts transcended the teaching profession, reaching everyone who was blessed to know her. The world is a better place with her in it. One of my most cherished memories was with my friend Greg Stone At the end of our senior year, we wanted to honor Mrs. Ott by secretly auditioning for a talent show. Oh, there it is. Weeks before, I had asked Laura if I could take a picture of her, and she agreed reluctantly. The skit was based on the James Taylor song Carolina in My Mind. And when I sang, Laura, she's the silver sun, Greg pulled that photo out, and everyone in the theater went crazy. Watching her witness this performance for the very first time, with her face beaming with pride and joy, is an image that I will never forget. We had managed to pull off this magnificent surprise on the great Laura Ott. Laura, it is an honor to be here tonight to pay tribute to you, my mentor, but it is an even greater honor to be blessed to call you my friend. Thank you for your unconditional love and support, which you showed me. You showed me the kind of person I wanted to be and who I've become. I love you with all my heart.
It is rare in life to be able to publicly recognize someone who has impacted your life in such a positive way. And I know there really are literally thousands of people who she taught over the years that could be standing in our place right now. And I feel extremely blessed to be the one standing here with Scott. For me, what makes Mrs. Ott special is her ability to inspire her students and pull the best out of them by showing genuine love and expecting them to rise up to the potential that's within them. When I started as a freshman at Laguna Hills High School in the fall of 1989, I was struggling to find my confidence, and high school was very intimidating for me. At the urging of family and friends, I selected Drama 1 as my elective of choice, and that's where I first met Mrs. Ott. Little did I realize that this decision would change how I viewed myself and ultimately the course of my life. I discovered that Mrs. Ott was different from any teacher that I had ever had. You could tell that being a teacher was her calling in life. She was passionate about her job, and it showed every day in her excitement for theater, English, and student leadership. She loved her students. I could tell that she genuinely cared about each student in her classes and was always available to counsel with them about their concerns. I also knew that she had high expectations for us to rise to. She certainly was not a pushover. She was demanding, yet fair and understanding. I personally felt her desire for me to be the best version of myself. I felt her genuine interest in my success, the love she had for me, and I did not want to disappoint her. I don't think any student wanted to disappoint her because we knew we meant a lot to her, and that knowledge propelled us to love her right back. When it came time to audition for plays and musicals, I knew I was not as talented as some of my peers. And I didn't get the lead roles to show for that either. But Mrs. Ott used this as a teaching moment and as an opportunity to inspire me to help me understand the role that I had was necessary, that I would have a positive impact on the overall performance, and even I had the opportunity to steal the show if I dedicated myself to the role I was cast in. This belief in me and care that was shown to me allowed me to gain confidence, become a student leader, and I feel changed the course of my life. All I can say is I'm forever grateful I was inspired by Mrs. Ott, and she is so deserving of this award. For her outstanding life's work and achievement at Laguna Hills High School and at the Saddleback Valley Unified School District, and on behalf of each one of us that she's inspired over the years, we award Laura Ott with the first ever Crystal Apple Lifetime Achievement Award.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I'm very proud of you. I'm proud of everybody. I'm a little bit overwhelmed, to be honest with you. This is such a tremendous honor. It really is. I want to thank you so much, both Zach and Scott, for this recognition and honor, and your nomination for this wonderful recognition. There are so many former students and colleagues here today that I just about lost it before the program ever started. You know, these men, I want to say boys, but these men graduated 30 years ago. And there are other people in the room that graduated close to 40. And it's overwhelming to me to still have relationships with these wonderful, wonderful people. I am so proud of what they've become. They've become professional teachers and lawyers and business people and entrepreneurs. And to still be connected with them, I can't begin to tell you what it means. I did write a little something, so please bear with me. I also, before I start, would like to congratulate the amazing and well-deserved teachers here tonight. In our profession, nothing is more meaningful than being recognized by a student. For me, being a teacher and educator has always been a dream job. I loved being a high school English and drama teacher, and when I had the opportunity to move to administration and still teach ASB leadership, I was beyond thrilled. When I moved to administration full-time, I made a promise to myself that I would never forget what it was like to be a classroom teacher. I wanted my decisions and actions always to be based on what was best for students and teachers. Not necessarily always an easy thing to do. However, with great teamwork, I wholeheartedly believe that the good outweighed the bad. I'm so grateful that I was able to work with incredible teachers and administrators in my 37-year career, especially at Laguna Hills High School, a school that I love so much, and then at the district level in a high-quality, high-achieving district like Saddleback Valley Unified. I always wanted to be a teacher from a very early age. When I was 4 years old, you'll appreciate this, my parents took me to my first high school musical production at the school where my dad taught. I was mesmerized. I remember standing in my chair the entire time to see everything that was happening on stage. It was a production of Oklahoma, and to this day, it's one of my favorite shows. Matter of fact, when I became a high school drama teacher, it was the very first musical production that I ever directed. Of course, while growing up, playing school was my favorite thing to do. Of course, I was the teacher. I would line up my dolls and my Barbies and pretend that they were students. I remember speaking as the teacher, but also answering for each doll. It was a very well-behaved classroom, all about attitude. I was also very excited when I had a little sister and then a brother because I finally had real students. With a dad and a grandmother, both teachers, I had a front row seat to learn what it took to become a quality teacher. I was fascinated with that so many of their respective students continued to come see them long after leaving the classroom, long after they even had retired. As I worked with elementary, intermediate, and high school students while I was in college, I realized early that the relationship established between a teacher and a student is often what makes a teacher, and perhaps the student too, successful. Equally important from my administrator lens is the relationship established and developed between an administrator and teacher. It is leading by example, continuing personal education, listening to and watching others, collaborating with colleagues, and a myriad of other things. I tried very hard in my career to foster relationships that garnered mutual respect, trust, honesty, and positive self-worth. This especially held true when I was able to mentor a young administrator or a new principal. And teaching high school isn't only what happens in the classroom during a 50-minute period. We've heard about that tonight. It's about the conversations that take place before and after class, to the hellos in the hallway or parking lot, seeing students excel on the field, court, or stage. It's recognizing students as individuals and what qualities they have to contribute as a whole. For me personally, it was about talking with students instead of at them, and paying close attention to their actions and listening to what they had to say. It mattered to me. Having the opportunity to take students to competitions, festivals, leadership camps, talk with them after school provided for a tremendous amount of real-life student learning and growth as writers, critical thinkers, creative artists, and true leaders. Some of the most satisfying times ever as a teacher with the greatest return. Of course, teaching also comes with challenges, and I've certainly had my share. One story I'm going to share is about a student in an English class. I had a student drill me, complain, rebel about having to learn the proper way to write a research paper. Why do we have to do footnotes? Why do we have to use multiple sources? Why do we have to go to the library? The questions just kept coming day after day, but I would continue to explain and answer, and with our wonderful librarian's help, show her the why. Reluctantly, she completed her paper, and she did it quite well. 6 years later, my principal at the time came into the classroom and handed me an envelope. It was a letter written to the superintendent outlining this very incident. She had written to say that while in my class, she didn't understand the value of learning how to research a controversial topic and citing all the sources in a particular format until she had to do it again in college and then realized her appreciation. More so, she continued to say she had just landed a job as a junior curator at the Getty Center and is convinced that her strong research skills that she learned in her high school sophomore English class got her the job. It was an unexpected letter of praise and thanks, but a very appreciative surprise. I'm sure that all teachers have multiple stories like this, and this is why we do what we do, to prepare students to be the best they can be in whatever path they choose. Being recognized at any time in one's career is incredibly special and meaningful, but to be remembered with the Crystal Apple Award after retirement is an everlasting punctuation mark. To have students here tonight and former colleagues here tonight to share this with me is something I'll never forget. I know that I wouldn't be the teacher, administrator, educator, or person that I am if it had not been for the great leaders, mentors, and teachers in my own life. I'm so grateful for all that I learned from them, plus from my colleagues, my friends, and especially my students. I'm also very blessed to have a very loving and supportive husband, Greg, who has supported me in every step of my career. Without him, it just wouldn't have made it as meaningful. My parents, siblings, and school family have also been instrumental in my success as an educator, and I thank them all. In closing, shortly after I became a teacher, my mother gave me 2 pieces of framed artwork. She told me that they were representative of the type of teacher and person I would become. One was a picture of a teacher in a single-room classroom standing before her students. On the student's desk, on the teacher's desk were several apples, and on the chalkboard, the green chalkboard behind her were multiple messages written in the children's handwriting. Happy birthday, surprise, happy birthday, you're special. The other was a saying, framed. My life is like a movie in which I get to play myself and get to experience it one frame at a time. It's a foregone conclusion that the film has a happy ending because it's in the script. I love this film. I love my part, and if I play my cards right, there's a good chance I'll get an Academy Award. I've had these 2 pieces with me in every classroom and every office I've ever had. It really helps define who I am as an individual and as a teacher. A heartfelt thank you for tonight's recognition. It's a great honor, and I'm deeply appreciative and a little emotional. Thank you very, very much.
If you guys know the words to the chorus, you're welcome to sing along. When some loud bragger tries to put me down and say his school is great, I tell him right away.
Now what's the matter, buddy? Ain't you heard of my school? It's #1 in the state. So be true to your school now, just like you would to your girl or guy. Be true
football and track. I'm proud to wear it now when I cruise around the other parts of the town. I got my decal and back.
So be true to your school now, just like you would to your girl or guy. Be true to your school now, and let your colors fly. Be true to your school. Come Friday, we'll be jacked up on the football game, and I'll be ready to fight. We're gonna smash 'em out. My girl will be working on her pom-poms now, and she'll be yelling tonight. So be true to your school now, just like you would to your girl or guy. Be true to your school now, and let your colors fly. Be true to your school. Be true to your school now, just like you would to your girl or guy. Be true to your school now, and let your colors fly. Be true to your school.
Excellent. I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight, and a special thank you to President Evanson and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for providing the facility for this event tonight. And our congratulations to everyone. I think in closing, we have something special. If all of those who have ever been nominated for a Crystal Apple Award would stand up, or anyone in the audience who's ever won a Crystal Apple Award would please stand up, along with you tonight who have won the Crystal Apple Award. So stand up here, and or nominated, I thought. Anybody who's an educator, stand up. There we go. Let's give a big round of applause. Keep standing. They're going to find you. A couple more in the back. There we go. So once again, I thank you for joining us tonight. I thank the winners, and I think we can see a common thread in everything that they've said tonight about the incredible impact these educators have had on our children and ourselves as well. We have some ice cream that's going to be served in the lobby following a closing prayer, which we're going to hear now from Michelle Bonney of the Laguna Hills High School. Michelle. Michael, excuse me. Michael, do you forgive me? Okay. Thank you, Michael.
Our kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we are so thankful that we are able to gather here this Sunday evening to honor and celebrate teachers who have made an impact on the youth in this area. We ask thee to please bless that we'll be able to have more experiences like this, and that these teachers will continue to bless the lives of those they teach and have an impact on. We ask thee to please bless that we'll be able to make the right decisions and be able to help each other choose to be right. And say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.